This is Cinematic Suffering, where we watch every horror movie streaming on Netflix, from A to Z, for better or worse. Life is pain, and so are bad horror movies. So since we're making the big bucks, I guess we can go and kick it off here. This is Cinematic Suffering, where we watch every Netflix horror movie from A to Z, no matter what it is. Do we have to add anything else to that?
No, it feels like we should, but that's an incorrect compulsion. No, this is cinematic suffering, and we do that thing that Jason says. Yep.
I don't want to. I don't even want to limit it just to Netflix because eventually this Netflix gig is going to end, right? I mean,
Eventually, that's pretty optimistic that the movies will run out before we do. But yeah, eventually, I think we're all open to a change in format at some point if it gets tedious.
yeah, we can just change Netflix to some other streaming service.
Pornhub.
Pornhub, yes, and
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
every short clip that Pornhub posts.
It'd be really embarrassing about that is like, what, this clip's more than 30 seconds long? Like, yes, it's more than 30 seconds long.
All right, so Clay, what are we watching? What did we watch a few weeks ago?
We watched the movie Anguish. We're still in the A's, but we A and N, so we're making our way down the A alphabet. Anguish. It's a 2015 film written and directed by Sony Malhai. Probably totally butchered that name. Starring Ryan Simpkins, Anika Marks, Karina Logue, and Cliff Chamberlain.
So when you say Sony, I think it's pronounced Sunny.
Sony,
Sonny,
Sony.
Sonny.
Yeah, I'm sure this person will forgive me.
After the glowing review they get, of course they should.
Well, I mean, we should preface this by saying there are going to be lots of spoilers. This is not a spoiler-free podcast.
Yes, and by spoilers, we basically describe it scene for scene, so you can choose if you want to watch it or not at that point.
So I think this time I think we should let Morgan take the lead on this because he said he took copious notes, and I took.
I did my homework.
Did you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
What kind of things did you find out about this fine film?
Oh, no. I'm talking about as far as like the copious notes taking. I did all of that. I mean, as far as I didn't really get too deep into the actors, or well, I should say actresses, because there's only one male character in the entire show. Everybody else is female, I think.
I don't know. That would be the male character, I guess, would be the guy that helps him find Poltergeist. It's got the glasses. No, that's the movie from last week.
Yeah. I was like, oh, wait a minute, it's kind of similar. There is God. I'm thinking of American Poltergeist too.
It's because it's haunting. It's going to haunt you forever.
Yeah, because I was thinking, oh, what about the dad in Anguish? And I was like, wait a minute, there really is no dad.
There is a dad in Anguish.
Yeah, the military dad.
The military dad.
But he's the only male actor in the entire film. Everybody else is all females. It's a very, very female centric.
I didn't even really notice that. That's cool.
Yeah. That's girl power. I'm about it. It'd be nice if girl power is used to make movies that are a little less boring, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right. So did we have any kind of like a screen crawl, maybe some text to intro the movie at all here?
Yes, there was on this one, and I actually made a couple of notes on that because the whole premise of the movie, to kind of segue into this, it's all about mental disorders or mental health, I guess you could say. And one of the little intro info bits, or whatever you want to call it, I don't know. It said, quote, despite success of medication, 1 million cases remain unsolved. And I thought the choice of the word unsolved was really weird and odd and kind of insulting. I mean,
this is another one of those cases where they're saying something is unsolved, much like American Poltergeist,
right?
Where they said it was unsolved, but it was, it was caused by the poltergeist. They've already
right,
solved it.
right. Well, exactly. It's kind of giving it this mysterious overlay, like there's something nebulous or nefarious, and we don't know what it is. But the whole premise they kind of lead into is dealing with mental health and mental issues.
Yeah, I didn't know mental illness was something that could go as an unsolved case. Like, you're just crazy and you're kind of a dick. So,
Right, and it's, like, unsolved. I mean, that's kinda what I was like, "Dude, that's pretty insulting, man." It's like, so you're saying there's all these crazy fucking people out there, and you're just saying, "Oh, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you."
can't do anything about that dude. He talks to trees and bites folk.
Yeah, yeah, the old lady that's shaking her hand at the cars, as you drive by, "Not today, Satan, not today," you know?
Yeah,
We've
obviously
all seen that lady too.
there's nothing wrong with her. We have not solved what her mental illness is. So
Right, right, yeah.
From knowing several people in the mental health business, they call that what do they call that? Acute personality disorder or borderline personality disorder. It's just a clinical word for you're kind of a dick, and we
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what to do with you.
so we start off dealing with this mental disorder language at the beginning of the movie, and then we're introduced to an extremely unlikable character, Lucy.
Oh,
Little
yeah,
Lucy.
she had the personality of a cactus.
Yeah. It,
Yeah,
it,
she's driving in the car. The premise, the setup is Mom and Lucy are driving down the road, and there's some party that's going to be a cabin in the woods. So you immediately I was thinking, oh, it's going to be a cabin in the woods story, but that no,
yeah.
don't get your hopes up for
My
that.
hopes were up briefly when I heard that part.
Yeah, but then no, that didn't last long before we're treated to something that's become so synonymous with movies, horror movies, any kind of even comedies that you're unmoved when it happens. Is just hit by a car. Like I'm
Yeah.
just getting out of the car, just right away smash.
Yeah, and I don't even know if we need any context. I guess Lucy and her mom were having a tiff over that party, and Lucy demands for her mom to pull over the car, and she's gonna walk home. And so, okay, mom pulls over the car, and she lays down the law pretty much. I like mom at the beginning here. I think she's doing the right thing. Maybe that's just because I'm an old man.
I, I need to see these kids put in their place.
Exactly. But Lucy says she's gonna walk home, and of course, suddenly is smashed into oblivion by a speeding car.
Yeah, and it was a pretty good car crash. If you're gonna, it made me think like it would be fun to make and I'm sure somebody's done this, is make a compilation of everybody that's ever been hit by a car violently and suddenly in a horror movie, from Final Destination to Mean Girls to all those other movies where somebody is just flattened and smushed by a vehicle.
I thought they did a pretty good job with it. I mean, I'll be honest, when I was actually watching it, I wasn't expecting it, and as soon as it happened, I did jump on this jump scare number one. And hilariously, my wife was actually in the kitchen and she was making dinner and she saw it and she immediately was just like screaming, "What the hell are you watching?"
It's homework, honey.
Exactly, exactly.
This is so we can get rich. We need to get side money.
Yeah, I
No,
gotta keep the fans happy.
Yeah.
it kind of it did surprise me as well. It was like, but it surprised me at the last second when I said, "Oh, she's gonna get." Oh, yeah, she got hit. So
Yeah.
That's so much for her. I guess we don't need to invest anything in this Lucy character. Moving on to another girl that looks similar in the same kind of pickup truck with the same kind of mom character in the
Yep.
same shitty Midwestern town. It
Yep.
reminded me of where I grew up in Ohio. Just kind of like this is where we just end up or didn't have the strength of will to leave.
Which you're close. I think it was filmed in Illinois, so just a couple of states over, but the same kind of like rural farmland,
Yeah.
typical kind of, boringness and nothing else going on.
Oh, I can smell the Midwest
Oh
on
yeah.
the place. Yeah. It
yeah. So
stinks of it.
this is the young girl is Tess, and
Tess.
we're introduced to a lovely folksy song as it plays over. Again, there's nothing really being said. We just see scenes. Um,
It's all the disarming shots. I mean, they're doing a bunch of disarming shots to kind of lull you and to let your guard down.
Yeah, and the folksy music is really letting my guard down because I was despising every minute of that. I mean, this was a movie that again is probably a 5 steps up from American Poltergeist 2, but that doesn't mean there was some tedious, unwholesome,
Yeah.
awful parts, and this was one of them. The music in this movie is just god awful.
Yeah, if you're gonna if you're gonna stick to the premise of the podcast and stick with the metaphors, American Poltergeist 2 was like you're in the cellar and you've just chewing through your own ankle to get out of the to get out of the manacle, and you're crawling up the stairs. So you're going towards the light of anguish.
Yeah.
It's actually pleasant. Like it's pleasant in comparison. Like, it's painfully boilerplate. Cinematography is decent and competent, but it looks like every other horror movie on Netflix that
Right.
you've seen. It's
Yeah.
just oh, this
Yeah,
is
it
going to be
was
boring.
it was very cookie cutterish. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got Tess and Mom, and they go to the new place. They're starting their new life. So you get the idea that Tess is kind of troubled, but she could be any kind of a brooding teenager, really. But I
Right.
guess she's eaten up with mental illness of some sort.
Yeah, we don't really know what her mental illness is. I don't think it's even explained later on either. We just know that she's talking to her dad over Skype, and we learn that he's in the military. He mentions something about taking pills regularly. We don't know
Yeah.
what for. But we like the first little signs of something supernatural is as Tess is unpacking boxes, and we hear a loud bump and a series of knocks around her room. Otherwise, there's
Hey,
nothing really.
Jason, did you pick up on all of the religious symbolism in this one, just like the last one? It's like all those cut shots where you see all the church steeples over and over again.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, better film this time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But still, just as much in your face, slapping her around.
Well, it was real easy because if you're in Illinois, you just drive down the road.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if this is the exact spot, but they show Tess and her bevy of pills, and each one is about the size of a Werther's. I was thinking, like, how the hell can you swallow those? I mean, it's a literal horse pill.
I get anxiety. I get mental illness just from looking at pills that are too big like that.
Yeah, because hopefully it's not oversharing, but you and I both suffer from that thing where we can get food stuck in our gullets, that
Yeah.
fucking dysphagia. So, and I was thinking the same thing, like I could never swallow that. I have to cut that into about 15 pieces or just crunch it up. Yeah, that's
Those pills have to be a chewable.
I need this in a liquid
The
form.
gummy
Doc.
version.
Yeah, or just chill it, just like, oh, mom gives you like a big pill and says, oh, swallow it. Well, I can't swallow it, but I'll just chew it up. But it's not chew. Okay, just tastes very bitter, mom. Very bitter, but I'm going to take this pill.
These pills are meant to help the bevy of voices in my head, and many of those voices are saying that's going to get stuck in your throat if you swallow that pill.
So we see Tess practices guitar, and she hears the knock again. And again, it's just like she goes outside in the cold and just chills out. And a strange dog comes running up to her out of the night for some reason.
Marmaduke looking motherfucker.
Yep.
Yeah, lies down, doesn't really do anything, and then we're treated to the morning. And
So
yeah.
you're pretty much, by our tone and by the early descriptions of this movie, you probably be getting the idea that this might be fucking boring.
because there's absolutely nothing going on. I mean, we're hearing these weird knocks, and I guess it's meant to be kind of scary, but it's just not. We see the
No,
dog
it's just
coming out of nowhere. Just the dog coming out of nowhere doesn't play any part in the rest of the movie either. It's just this random series of events.
Just neighborhood dog
Yeah,
hanging out.
A horse-sized dog. It'd be like, can you keep your horse-sized dog, your pony of a dog, on its leash?
and apparently, Tess and her mom Jessica are Catholic. I guess they're devout Catholics because we see them in a church. Yeah.
Yep, they go to the church to Father Myers.
Oh, is that his name? Father
Myers. Yep.
Go visit
I guess he's the one male in the movie. The second male.
Yeah, but it's the dad and then Father Myers were the only two guys in the entire. I forgot about Father Myers, but yeah, the only two guys in the entire film.
Oh, yeah. The first order of business, and this reminded me of coming up in a Lutheran household, is we're in a new town. We need to find the nearest church in our denomination. So they go to church, and sitting in the back, glowering at both Tess and Tess's mom and the pastor is what's her face's mom, the dead girl's
Lucy's mom. Yep.
Lucy's mom. Sarah is in the back, kind of glowering at everybody.
Yeah, and there's nothing like a little good Catholic church service to relieve any mental anguish anyone's trying to relieve. My girl's mentally ill. I need to take her to the local church immediately. I'm not going to introduce her to any local doctors. We're just going straight to the priest.
straight on it. Yeah. We need God for this. We need a good dose of God. And Father Myers says something or other to Sarah. Is that Lucy's mom?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 They're talking in the back. I guess I can't remember what he said. Something or
I
other.
think I said it's Lucy's mom just looking sad and pissed. Yeah, that's all we pretty much know.
My notes at this point said, "Methinks this fucker is going to be boring."
Why did I actually put long Z's for several pages. I actually slept on the Z key on my keyboard.
Oh goodness! So we get a flashback, don't we, of Lucy on a swing?
Oh, that's right. I don't remember the swing at all.
It's a flashback that we don't need of Lucy, the girl that got smushed by the truck,
Yeah.
on the swings,
Yep.
talking to her friend, like, "Tell your mom you're going to the party."
Yep.
I don't know. She's a real big whore, my mom. And then it cuts back to Tess, who's going to the bookstore.
Right. Tess is going to the bookstore. A lot of stuff is happening, and by a lot of stuff, I mean nothing is happening. Like
Oh,
certain
wait.
things, like Knox again. We learned that Sarah calls Lucy's phone just to hear Lucy's dead voice. Yeah, and then more knocks. Tess explores the house, and we are all accompanied by this cheesy folk music in the back.
Oh, wait! Don't forget the best part. The boy that skateboards up sits
Oh,
down
God.
next to her and puts on the giraffe mask and looks around for no apparent reason.
Oh my God! Yeah, Morgan reminded us of a vital point of exposition.
And I was like,
is
what the
they
hell
did.
is that?
And again,
That would be-
another useless character that plays no part in the upcoming movie at all. I mean, he plays like a brief part at the very end, but it's nothing. at all.
Right.
He's to remind us that he should come up and just be like, "Hello, I'm your kind of quirky romantic interest. You'll never see me again. Goodbye.
Exactly.
Bye-bye."
Yeah, so Tess finds Tess does find Lucy's roadside memorial after meeting
Oh, that's
Yes,
right.
yeah. She
Dude,
left the
giraffe boy.
bookstore. Yep.
She's drawn to it beyond her will. She's drawn to this
Yeah.
thing.
Skateboarding home, she sees it and stops.
Yeah, she's
Is that the point to where we see that there's some blood involved yet, or is that later on in the movie that she's got like a bloody knife and she's by Lucy's memorial?
I don't think there's a knife just yet, but you're ruining everything, Clay.
I'm sorry. You see what I'm doing is my brain is scrambling for the next part that's
He's like, "Are we done
slightly
yet? Are
interesting.
we done yet?"
That's all the way at the end, man. Let's just skip to the end.
So
And then
blah
let's
blah
just-
blah, and then this happened.
Let's just talk about Alita and how it was too loud in the theater. Let's just talk about that for the next hour. No, we'll get back to Anguish.
Well, so we said Tess finds that roadside memorial, and there's like a weathered photo of Lucy there, and
Yep.
then suddenly she's pulled to the ground, and then almost flung out into the road by some invisible force. And
Yeah.
I did jump. I will admit that I did jump a little bit at that. Another one of the jump scares that they have in here.
Yeah, that was an unexpected jump scare. I thought that one was pretty decent.
Yeah, it was all right. Nothing about this movie was terribly bad. It just wasn't terribly good either. It was,
Yeah, it was just
I found myself taking notes, writing the next scene before I got to it.
should be a movie of us watching this movie and going into some weird ESP trances.
Yeah. This is how we're gonna do this scene.
Guys, did you just dream about Tess being flung into the road?
Yeah.
It's going to be even more predictable when we transition to Pornhub. as the movies we review.
I was not expecting the anal. I really was.
I know. I mean, it was just out of left field. Bravo.
Oh, sorry, I'm coughing here. We learned that Tess has a disruptive personality disorder and has been out of hospitals most of her life. And then Jessica explains all of this to the local priest because, again, why doesn't Father Meyer? Father Meyer should know every little stinking detail of every character.
Wouldn't it be refreshing if he was like, "Oh, whoa, I'm not a psychologist. I just."
He's like, TMI, babe, TMI.
Yeah.
Have you masturbated today? Do a Hail Mary. I can deal with that.
So we see Tess approaches her home for dinner. It's nighttime. We see a bunch of hand palms push at the bay window from the inside.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, all the handprints go away, and there's like only one set there.
Yep.
And then Tess enters a home. Of course, there's nothing there on the windows.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. It wasn't great.
Well, again,
Yeah.
it's just this slow build up to really nothing. So it's just yeah, all these little sequences are cool by themselves, I guess, but in the whole of the film, they just don't add up to anything else that comes
No,
along.
there's no segue, there's no connection, nothing really kind of, connects it for you as the viewer.
Right. So then Tess goes back outside at night and listens to creepy sounds in the countryside around there. There's a flickering street lamp. There's a sound from the storage shed, and Tess approaches slowly and finds nothing. And
Yeah.
so she walks back again, but we know that something is in the shed because we see condensation on the glass, like a breath being blown on it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of a scene out of I can't remember the name of that movie. Damn it, never mind. It was some movie with the teenagers. It was a lot better where the thing You're Next or something like that. Or
Oh no, Your Next was actually a really good film.
I think that might have been it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other movies that were way better than this one. To get
Oh
me through
God,
it.
there's millions, dude.
Start the list. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go watch those.
I mean, it's such an unfair bar to even strive for. But the whole time I was watching this, I was thinking like, this is no Hereditary. It's like, yeah, I know. It's also no Exorcist. It's the unfair comparison, dude. Hereditary was better.
So the outside mom, we're still outside the shed, and mom sneaks up on Tess and tells her to come inside. So this is another jump scare.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so Tess looks out she's back in her bedroom. She looks outside and there's like a mysterious figure standing by a streetlight, a la The Exorcist kind of thing. It looks like she turns away and it disappears. I'm just going to assume the mysterious figure just kind of pranced behind a large tree to not be there anymore. But suddenly she's pulled down by a set of grasping arms. And again, this is another jump scare. These things just keep coming up, and by this point in the movie, I even wrote it. I said, "Really getting tired of the musical jump scares. They're
Yep.
fucking annoying."
They got to be predictable.
They've got nothing else going in this movie, so they have to put in these loud sound bites just to scare you out of your doze that you've been dreaming on slipping into this entire time, these past 25 minutes.
Yeah, you got yourself a boring movie, just yell at people.
Yeah.
Out of, and of course it works because your natural inclination is to jump when somebody yells at you, and that's what the score was doing, was just yelling at you every 10 minutes.
Right. And yeah, so this is the point of the movie that I started getting really annoying. Again, it's filmed very well. It's a well-made film, and it's just lacking. So we go to see, I guess, Lucy's on a swing. This is where we see her singing.
Yeah,
And-
that's how far I jumped ahead. I
Yeah.
was talking about the swing part. We weren't even close.
Well, there's several flashbacks to Lucy on this stupid swing, so it's probably one of them. She mentioned something about a scar she needs to cover up with a swimsuit, which is a flashback to Lucy. I don't know why we're flashing back to Lucy. She's not alive, so
and we didn't get to know her at all.
No.
We found out that she wants to go to a party and her mom wasn't into it, and then she gets flattened by a car.
Yeah,
So that's
what
our
Yeah,
introduction.
that's
to
her
Lucy.
story arc. That's it.
Yeah, what I learned about Lucy was that she's a dick. Lucy's a dick.
She
Yeah.
talks bad to her mom, man. At first, I didn't even know if it was her mom. I was like, dude, who is she talking to? Is this
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
I know.
surrogate mother or a stepmom or something? Wow.
Yeah, I know. I thought
Yeah.
the same thing. She was just going off, so that's why I was like cheering for the mom at the beginning. And then when Lucy got smacked by the car, I was just like, okay, awesome, problem solved.
Well, and I just said, like, I guess we don't have to invest any emotion into this character. Moving on.
So
to these people.
This is the point where Tess does wander into the bookstore where Sarah works, and
Yep.
Yes.
so Sarah or Tess says some stupid saying that I guess Sarah was saying, and at first I didn't understand what it was. It's like, if your sister had a mustache, she'd be your uncle, or
Yeah.
If your aunt had a mustache, she'd be your uncle.
if your aunt had a mustache. Okay, got it. But they would say this all the time, and I was, I don't even know what's going on, and I kept mishearing it the entire time. So I'd mistake, uncle for sister or aunt. Just replace all these names with other familiar names.
Because
Well,
those
and
details are important.
Well, and I got stuck on this. If your aunt had a mustache, she'd be your uncle thing because it's like, no, she wouldn't. She'd just be your aunt that's got
A
lip
hairy upper lip.
fuzz. Have you
Yeah.
have you never
There's
seen a
wax for
woman
that.
with a half a beard?
So there's this dumb encounter in the bookstore. We start seeing a little bit of maybe Lucy coming through from the other side through Tess, because Tess is starting to have these weird visions and flashbacks, which are technically Lucy's memories now
And the
seeping into
spinning of
her
the
world.
necklace.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a necklace that she said her mom had given her, but I don't know, it was something weird like that. I think she was speaking as Lucy, that her mom had given her a necklace, and her mom is Sarah. Moving on.
Like she's buying a book
Yeah.
that says "Understanding Your Dreams," which I guess is also somehow important, but not really.
Yeah.
So we go back home, and this is where we see Tess grabs a kitchen knife and stands over her mom while she sleeps, and then just stares at her. Uh,
Yep.
and as the movie progresses and we get to the end, you'll see that scene makes no sense either.
Like many of them.
In the context of the movie, it makes no sense. So, anyways,
It's one of many false starts. It's like we're gonna make sweet love. No, I'm narcoleptic. That's kind of what the movie kept doing to you.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to sleep. That's it.
Well,
right.
it's like the
So
movie's about mental issues. You got someone with mental issues and they're standing over you while you're sleeping with a knife. Usually bad things are probably about to happen, but not in this film.
right. Well, but that's the thing. It's like they say it's mental health, but in the context of this film, this wouldn't be a mental health issue. This is a possession. If we're talking in this
Right.
world, this is
Right.
fake world. So, I mean, I guess they could understand if the mom woke up and saw her daughter standing over with a knife. Yeah, mental illness. But we know in the context of the film going in, it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's a totally irrelevant thing, and that's what they use to market the movie. Like, this is a moving story about mental illness. Like, she doesn't need to have mental illness.
Yeah.
She could have Tourette's. She could have, she could have nothing. She could just be a normal
Yeah.
teenager
Yeah.
and still get possessed.
She could have been. This movie could have revolved around a normal teenager, just outside of her element, constantly moving, make the military family, obviously. Yeah, mental illness doesn't even have to play a part in this at all.
We
God.
get to see her pills though. Those nice big
Oh,
nurse
yeah.
pills.
Oh God, I'm getting anguish thinking that again. Tess goes back out in the cold, and there's now we see red stuff on the knife. So it's supposed to make us think that she did something to her mom. It's leading us
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
here. But Tess grabs her stomach at the kitchen. It turns out their mom's not dead, obviously.
Right. Now we're at breakfast time.
Yeah. So Tess grabs her stomach at the kitchen table, starts either coughing or gagging. So mom just gives her some Tums and takes off for
Yeah,
work.
more pills. Hey, answer to everything is more pills.
And it turns
You have
out
a severe pill deficiency, young lady. Here, eat some more.
it turns out that it's not even the pill. She had stabbed herself because there's a scar she wanted to make. Because
Yeah.
we learn later on that Lucy had an appendix scar on her lower right abdomen, right? And so that's what Tess was doing. But you don't know that here. She's just grabbing her stomach. You think you'd see some blood seeping through something, but she's like, and mom gives her some Tums.
Yeah.
Well, just to back up for a second, because God forbid we back up too much in this movie, but like Lucy was talking about, like, oh, I want to make sure I get a swimsuit that covers my appendix scar. I was sitting there thinking, oh, honey, we don't care.
None of we care.
No hetero boy on the planet cares if you have an appendix scar.
This is true.
Pretty much.
So Tess has some. Tess has has a vision now of getting hit by some kind of ghost car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. Where are we? Hallucinate. She's hit by a car, Lucy style.
Yeah.
Oh, she was skateboarding and she gets to the intersection, and is that what it was?
Yeah. She's skateboarding. She gets to an intersection. She gets like hit by some kind of ghost car, and then we see Lucy pop up, and
Yeah.
Lucy like mouths or either says, "I won't stop."
Yeah, she's screaming, "I won't stop," or "It won't stop," or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're a ghost, like what an asshole of a ghost Lucy is. Like if you're going to torment somebody, it's an asshole move to torment anybody as a ghost because it'd be scary as fuck. But it's a real dick move to harass somebody that's already got mental illness because they're not going to know if they need to up their dose. I'm never going to get the dosage of my pills right if I'm dealing with a real ghost that I got to contend with.
And we already know that Lucy's an asshole anyways, so this is not surprising on the Lucy ghost part. I would assume.
Such a rude entity. You should be a polite entity. Oh, speaking of segues, maybe this would be a good point to mention that we have sponsorship now.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
know?
right. I
Oh
was
yeah,
so
yeah.
very glad to get
Yeah,
that
we've
email.
actually we're getting so popular here at Cinematic Suffering that we're just getting bombarded with requests. I mean, it takes up so much of my day. Can we advertise on your show? Will you advertise our products? You know, can I send you naked pictures?
Yeah, take
On
our
and
money,
on and
take
on.
our products, please, please, please.
Yeah.
I know it's really tough. So we succumb to it because you know we have expenses here at Cinematic Suffering. So this is the ad copy for our very first advertiser. So let me just try to get into ad guy voice. I'll start us off here. Excuse me.
Let me pull this ad copy up because
All right.
Oh, here it is. Okay. So
All right.
so she was just like improv this thing. I mean, you're gonna start it off. Okay.
I'll start it off. Just everybody get your ad copy in front of you
Yep.
because they said that they will pull our advertising if we fuck up the ad copy.
Ooh,
So
okay.
here we go.
Pressure's on.
This episode of Cinematic Suffering is brought to you by your friends at Ghosties Be Gone. Do you have unwanted entities? Is your domicile infested with the howling, mournful cries of the anguished undead? Do these pesky poltergeists haunt your dreams, ruin your dinner parties, and possess your loved ones?
Well, you need Ghosties Be Gone. Our patented spectral removal system will rid your home of these ethereal nuisance demons, guaranteed, or your money back.
Simply plug the Ghosties Be Gone unit into any outlet in your home. The device releases a mixture of holy water, sonic waves, kosher salt, Miley Cyrus music, and sage throughout the day, making your home inhospitable to uninvited apparitions. It also gives the house a fresh scent of lavender because, as we all know, ghosts stink like the bowel movements of a sick herd of buffalo.
So order today. Supplies are limited, not for sale in Missouri, Oklahoma, Florida, or Wisconsin.
All right.
All right,
I can't
there.
wait.
We paid the bills. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. The money
Making money.
poured in,
Count the
baby.
stacks.
Do, do we still have to keep going on with this movie?
Okay. I feel like, you know, once we've sold our souls to the literal devil here, we don't need to talk about this shit ass movie anymore.
I was just having a thought about Lucy. So, okay. So I guess Lucy's being a dick. She's
Yeah.
saying, I won't.
Lucy's the ghost, by the way.
Yeah, Lucy's
everybody.
the
I know
ghost.
it's hard to keep up.
Lucy the ghost. And she's like, I won't stop. So I'm guessing Lucy won't rest until she can finally go on that camping trip. Because that's how all these ghosts resolve everything. So all we need to do is just pile into the station wagon, make sure Lucy's hovering somewhere nearby, and just go and bring some s'mores and have a good time at a camp. And then
That's pretty damn good. I didn't think about that, but that's
Yeah.
pretty damn good.
You know, not that my mind's in the gutter or anything, but I think that the cabin trip was just kind of a precursor to, you know, losing her virginity. So really what she wants is for Tess to lose her virginity and then they can both be happy.
oh, okay.
Move on.
Need some kind of ethereal supernatural ghost dick.
Yeah, you can't die a virgin. They mock you in the afterlife.
Yeah. So we moving on, we see Tess passes by a playground and all the swings and everything are moving on their own. Tess realizes that she better take her fucking meds.
More pills.
Yeah. So she rushes home to go take her pills, and that's where we start seeing all the medicine cabinet scenes of her looking through a pill box and everything. So yeah, really fun.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
end.
The movie is over. Well, we see her talking to her psychologist, and her psychologist says, "Am I speaking to Tess?" And they converse a little. It's kind of boring. This movie's kind of boring. The psychologist
More knocking.
recommend.
Don't forget the knocking.
Oh, there's knocking.
Yeah, there's banging.
I did forget the knocking.
Yeah, there's banging and closet doors closing and opening and creepy voices.
Yeah.
Folks, we are sorry. I wish I could make this more interesting, but this is the movie that it's Anguish. This is the one we had to watch
Yeah.
because we got to follow our own rules here.
So, uh, yeah. So Tess experiences all that stuff. She goes to see the psychologist shortly after. Actually, all these the
Yes,
closet door opens. She sees a mysterious figure. We see Tess's eyes kind of dilating back and forth. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I thought that
I
I
did
thought that
not.
was a
Yeah.
really cool part of the movie. That they showed her irises just going back and forth really crazy. Um, Mom gets home, finds Tess collapsed on the floor, and of course that's when they go to the hospital and
Tess Falls funny too. It was like timber, just boom.
I forgot. I need to go. I need to replay that actually. Pull it back up.
Just and then rewind it real quick and edit it.
Just put it
That
as
would
a
be kind of
GIF.
fun. Yeah.
There you go. Savor the moment.
Yes.
So we're 45 minutes in here. I've got almost home stretch, baby. So Tess freaks out in the hospital and she gets pulled away and put away in a mental ward. And this is now we see meanwhile. So Tess is out of the picture. We see Sarah, Lucy's mom. She's brooding and dwells, and she seems very anguished. And then she gets a call from Lucy's phone and hears Lucy's voice asking for Sarah to help her. And she calls Lucy's phone back again, and then just gets a voicemail. Um, Tess tells her psych about the noises she hears. Doctors tell Jessica that they recommend sending Tess to an institution, and that's when the priest steps in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the priest says, like I'm only I've only started playing Dungeons and Dragons. You need an advanced Dungeons and Dragons player. So you need to go to the what's the name of the high level cleric that he recommends? The what does he call him?
Are you talking about the
Cleric,
movie?
priest, senior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some kind of.
It's a subplot that they just say, we don't want to do that, and they abandon it.
Well, it harkens back to I want to say 1920 London, where
Yes,
where
yes,
there's a
yeah.
battle
Callback.
between the psych or between science and religion. And
Yeah, that is another common theme. Unfortunately, I don't remember a locked door we couldn't get into. I was very
Yeah.
yeah, I was
disappointed.
kind of disappointed with that too.
Yeah.
Can't win them
That's when
all.
this is when Father Myers says that he suspects she has dissociative personality disorder. Do they teach psychology to priests in Catholic school? Otherwise, how the
I'm
fuck
not
does he know that?
I know they can. I will give the benefit of the doubt to priests. Sometimes they do go to college and learn some. It's like me taking a psych class though in college, even though it's not my major. I have to take
Right.
something. So
Right. Your
that's
liberal arts requirement. I got you.
right, exactly.
That'd be funny if you could just go to the priest for all of your advice. Like, oh, you need me to help you find the G spot? Like, no, I think I'm good, Padre.
Oh,
Hey,
so
what do you recommend them getting rid of fire ants? Oh, well, let me tell you right now.
hey, see, let's go check out these gaps.
Out, foul ants, in the name of the Lord.
So the priest,
Not today, Satan.
not today. The priest recites some biblical verse, but then Tess takes over and she starts
Yes.
reciting them for him.
Yeah.
So then we think, oh, Tess, this is the classic case of possession.
Well, yeah, we are without a doubt in a possession type scenario here. It's been pretty painfully obvious since the opening credits, but
Yeah.
yeah, confirmation is no bad thing.
Not mental illness. We're dealing with possession.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the big question here is why is Lucy haunting or possessing Tess? We don't have this question. I'm not sure if it gets really wrapped up either at the end of the
And now, deep thoughts.
What did she say? She's vaguely my height and age. Yeah.
But I'm going to jump ahead of it. So yeah, she's vaguely my height and weight, or they're almost alike. I guess similar in maybe personality or whatever. But there's still other beings that want to come through, and that we'll get
Yeah,
to
that's
that
when we
later.
get word
Yeah.
that there's others or something. There's two others or something like that inside of her, or trying to possess her or something like that.
Yeah. Oh God. So this before we get to that, we have stuff that jumps out. Tess jumps out of her. There's a moving truck. Jessica's driving Tess home. Tess jumps out of the moving truck, gets scraped up, and then runs directly to Sarah's house, which is Lucy's mom,
Yep.
and hugs her. And we learn that Tess is not Tess, it's Lucy. Lucy is now fully possessed Tess.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's not
And
the
it takes them no time for everybody to get on the same page with this ridiculous story too. Like, yep, so
Yeah.
adds
Adds
up.
up.
And I
The
think it
moms
checks
meet, they
out.
start talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, okay, now I see what's going on."
Of course. It's my daughter who's possessing your mentally ill daughter.
Right.
I mean, I thought those handfuls of pills would help, but no. She needs to take more of the big triangular purple ones.
So this isn't the typical possession movie where the person possessed becomes a pea-spitting, head-turning demonic entity. It's just I'm
No.
another little girl and I want to live
Yeah.
somewhere else.
And her mom like couldn't even tell, like, oh, she just seemed like a kind of a bitchy teenager to me. They're all the same. So
Yeah, so the parents discuss it. Lucy doesn't want to leave, but this is where she mentions other spirits that are out there that, if she goes back and tries to pull Tess back in, then it'll leave the body open. It'll leave Tess's body open to possession from other spirits.
Right.
And this is where it could have gotten really, really interesting.
Finally.
but
It could have gotten really, really cool here. We're talking like I don't know if you guys saw Insidious. It's kind of has the same premise here, but
yeah.
so Lucy agrees, says, "Okay, I'm going to let Tess back. I'm sorry." She said her goodbyes to her mom. Blah blah blah, and it was very heartwarming. I was like, "Okay, I can kind of get it. It'll pull on the heartstrings a little bit." Say your last
Yeah.
goodbyes to your dead daughter, and
Yeah.
then we, hopefully at this point we can see other spirits trying to get into Tess's body, and then just rage hell, just ravage everything. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get a drag me to hell kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and then
Nope.
no, all we see is Tess's eyes flicker open after we think she's back in her own body, and she just gets up and runs away.
Yeah.
It was the best.
I got some drinking to do. Oh no, she got possessed by the town rummy.
I hope the old Pink Flamingo is still open downtown.
I need to test out this young cooch.
Oh god.
It would have been vastly more entertaining.
So much more entertaining than
yeah.
what we got.
It's like I want to just I want to just go into people's like little rooms wherever they're writing their shitty scripts, kick the door in and say, "Oh, give me it," and then I angrily scrawl all over it and then hand it back, and then they give me money.
That'll work. That'll work.
The dream life right there, man. The dream.
Oh God, I can dream. Never let your dreams die.
So Jessica says Tess, and then Tess shakes her head no, and then Sarah says Lucy, and then whoever's in Tess's body shakes her head no, and then she just gets up, like I said, and tries to leave. They push the possessed Tess into a closet, and then they open the closet again, and that's when possessed Tess attempts to leave out. There's like a struggle, there's a little fight going on,
Yeah.
but nothing like supernatural or
Nope.
crazy. It's just like these chicks are all beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah, and by this point we've already seen 1920 and 1920 London, so the bar has been set really high for these exciting demon possession type of fights. Like there should have been wire work where people are getting thrown through the air through plaster and they're in Evil Dead style wall crawling, but no, it was very much not.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. It was a very what could have been an extremely entertaining climax turned out to be just a boring fight scene.
Another boy with a giraffe mask.
Yeah, another pointless giraffe mask. So
don't they lock her in an Evil Dead style cellar? I remember
Yes.
that.
Yeah,
I wrote down Evil Dead style cellar in my notes.
She flees to the basement. The possessed Tess flees to the basement, and Jessica locks the door. And then we hear possessed Tess screaming like a maniac behind. But of course, they have to open the basement and go down to see if possessed Tess is okay.
Investigate that.
They're only armed with their stupid flashlights on their phones. It's like, dude, bring a what are the police baton? Bring those tag batons.
Give me a blackjack. Yeah.
I know it's my daughter.
One of those zappy guns.
I know it's my daughter. I'll hit her over the head a couple of times. It might cure a mental illness, but these wounds will heal.
Hey, look at the positive. That's less pills you got to take.
I'll split her skull open, but maybe that will help whatever's this is very a 19th century way of dealing with
Yeah,
the world. But I
the priest
believe
would
in
have been
bringing
very
back
happy.
the
He'd
old
been like,
ways.
"Ooh,
MAGA, MAGA.
Uh, yeah, well, I mean, like, I can imagine the police showing up to this trunk, this legless, armless trunk on the ground that's been beaten within an
twitching."
inch of its life. And that's like, well, she was possessed. Like, okay, why don't you come with me?
So the two mothers, Jessica and Sarah, head down into the basement with their armed with only their cell phone lights, and of course, uh, possessed Tess pushes past them. The light is dropped. There's a black. We see nothing but black for a little bit, for several seconds, and
Yeah.
just sounds. And then the light comes back on, and we see Lucy has repossessed Tess's body.
I
Yeah, I guess
think,
there was some kind of tug of war she
yeah,
won.
Tess is that when Tess is in the corner? I don't know.
I don't. There's something going on. It just kind of happens almost immediately. It seems like there was.
Yeah, they go into the cellar and then yeah, like Lucy is back in Tessa's body and she says, "Can I have one more night?" And then both moms agree to this. Like, it's fine. My daughter's just an empty vassal for this other entity that's possessed her. I don't know where my daughter is, assuming somewhere out loose in the spirit realm. One more night is fine. We can that's like saying we'll address this Ebola problem tomorrow. That sounds okay.
So Lucy is back in Tessa's body. She starts coughing and gagging. Sarah says, Lucy's mom says it'll only get worse the longer I guess Lucy stays in Tessa's body. Again, no reason given for that. Uh,
Well, the backstory to that was that Lucy's mom was a missionary and apparently met a lot of mediums and gurus.
Yeah.
oh,
So
that's
she
right.
apparently is an expert in demon
Yes.
How come
possession,
Suddenly we found
spirit
out,
possession.
that she's traveled the world and seen other portal medium people that can access the spirits that are seeking closure and and they're filled with unrest, I guess.
Yeah.
She's one of those intolerable white people that go to India once
Yeah.
and come back all enlightened. It's like,
Yeah.
oh Christ, yes, you've been to the Ganges. I've heard about it.
And then so we see Lucy going to pull Tess back into her rightful body, and now we jump into another dimension, which is basically just the same house but with a different lens filter on.
Yeah. Blue colored
Pretty
lens
much.
filter.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
see Lucy. Again, this is another part that could have been totally rocking. Scary and with monstrous ghosts all around.
Oh
And
yeah.
and no, we just see Lucy rises from her bed, surrounded by a lot of spirits like her. I guess. She wanders around this dimensional house looking for Tess. Then we see, I guess, Lucy or Tess. I don't know what the hell wakes up. What is going on? Someone is in Tess doesn't want to go back into her body or something. Is that
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I was kind of conflicted about it. I didn't understand what the confliction here was. Who didn't want to go back where?
Yeah, it seemed to me that Lucy finds Tess, but she's like hiding and like in a corner, and Tess doesn't want to go back. That's what it seemed like. And then we see Lucy turn around or something and get crunched and stomped and twisted as something pulls her into her room.
Yeah.
The spirit Lucy, and then we see Tess wake up,
Yep.
and that's when we get the questions from Sarah asking Lucy, and Tess shakes her head no, and then Tess says she came back for you, Mom. I don't even know what that means. I
Yeah.
don't
Yep.
even know what that means.
I came back for you, Mom. It's like the actors just it said it in the script, so I
Yeah.
said it, and we're one step closer to being able to go
So I
home.
guess this is the point where we're supposed to get the old mulligan, the old ribberold here, where we think it's Tess saying, "I came back for you, Mom." Um, she,
They leave it ambiguous
yeah,
because there's like this we go into this music montage and we see Giraffe Mask Boy again and
Yeah.
he's like, I never did get your name, and she doesn't
right.
answer. Like we the audience don't hear her say her name, so it's kind of left in this ambiguous place to where it could be either Tess or Lucy. The twist is about the most predictable thing ever, like ever in the history of predictability.
Yeah, we're seeing things like Tess suddenly doesn't really need the meds anymore, as if a possession cures the mental illness.
Yeah,
Like,
like mental illness is definitely a
yeah,
biological component
yeah,
to
there's a physical component to mental illness. So everyone's wondering, oh well, Tess is behaving much better nowadays, and look at her, she can play the guitar now, and she can sing, and everyone's really happy with the way Tess is progressing.
And that's the
Uh,
way it works. It's not that they're mentally ill. It's just all the rest of us just fail to recognize that they're a medium for possession.
right, exactly.
It's
Oh
all on
wow,
us. See,
you just blew my mind there. I think that might be right.
So we can all see where this leading. I mean, they kind of leave it ambiguous, but you kind of see what's going on. Tess skateboards around town a little bit more, and then she approaches a swing in the same park where Lucy. We saw brief flashbacks of Lucy, and her eyes black out,
yep,
and then
pupils dilate.
we're greeted by an end credit scene that says "inspired by true events."
And I've said out loud,
I said,
bullshit.
I put sure.
Yeah,
Right, yeah. And you notice that they didn't do it was a very deliberate thing. They didn't put that in the beginning of the movie because they didn't want the audience going
Yeah.
right, right,
bullshit
yeah.
the whole time.
No, I was calling bullshit. Once I saw that, I was like, "Oh, come on, for real." Um,
It's like, and it's one of those things that you don't even want to put the energy into arguing with. Like, sure it
Yeah, you
did.
just shrug and
Sure,
just
sure
accept it.
that
Yeah,
happened.
I think there's a lot of things this movie missed, but I think the ending. I did like the ending somewhat, where Tess didn't want to come back. She didn't want to come back to the real world. She thought she was maybe a burden to her family, and Lucy did want to come back. So it's like they might have made some kind of devil's deal back there in the dimensional world, but that still doesn't make sense because we see Lucy's form in that dimensional realm kind of get pulled into this room. So it's like she was taken out of the picture. So this might not be Lucy at all in Tessa's body. This might be
that's what
Yeah, it
I
might
kind of
just be
got. I was
yeah,
like, ooh, this may be somebody all new, all different.
right, exactly.
it could be the town pederast. Like, oh, I can
I'm in the perfect
spend the
world.
rest of my
It,
days in a young
it
lady
could be the
body.
little old lady pointing her finger at traffic, going, "Not today, Satan, not today."
That's what we see Tess start doing from then on out. Why does she keep saying that?
I'm going to go back to high school and be the biggest whore you've ever seen.
Let me see if I thought I was trying to bring up some reviews on. It's got an audience score of 24% liked it. It's got a tomato on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a tomato meter of 62%. So it's got a
That sounds about
yeah, it's got
fair.
a fairly uh, fresh score. There's no real reviews on it. Audience.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't particularly good either. It just
They
was.
played it very safe. I mean, and to me, it
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of a lot of the new genre horror films, kind of like The Ring and whatnot, where it's like it's more suspenseful and tense than it is really scary, I guess.
Yeah. I
Yeah, and you didn't watch this one with us unless you just happened to watch it, Morgan. But there was Mandy Lane. It reminded me of Mandy
Yeah, I
Lane with
haven't
the
seen that
same
one.
very deliberate cinematography and the lens filters and everything. Mandy Lane was a more entertaining movie, but neither were
Yeah.
good.
No, I mean, I this film could have has potential. It had potential, and I think it was just kind of blown by all the cheap jump scares. It was blown by
Yeah.
the lack of a real good climax at the end. I think some tweaks to the actual script could have been made, but I'm no expert. Who am I, right? But I'm sure the filmmakers can look back on it and say, "Oh, yeah, I guess we could have done shit like that." But
Well, none of the, aside from she's suffering and she's suffering and she suffers, none of the characters had any meat to
No.
them. Like, okay, I understand that you lost your daughter. What else is there to this character? Not a damn
She works in
thing.
a bookstore.
That's as
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, she works in a bookstore and she was a missionary, so she's somehow an expert on occultism. Tess likes to play the guitar and she broods and she drives a skateboard. Like, and I didn't like that movie I Killed Giants, but it was the similar theme and it did it way
yeah.
better. And I didn't like that movie either, but
Well, we were introduced to because you're right, the character building was lacking here because it, I think they wanted us to have some sympathy for Lucy near the near the end or the last third of the movie,
Mhm.
and it was hard to have that sympathy because when we were introduced to her, she was a dick, and
Yeah.
we didn't see anything that
Right.
really would have redeemed that, other than a couple of you know toothless flashbacks that you know only establish certain little mulligans that we find out later, like the appendix scar and the some of her singing and things like
Right.
that.
And now that I think about it, like she hated that appendix scar and she wanted to hide it with a bathing suit. Why would she inflict her? Why would she want it back? That'd be like if I took somebody else over and they were like, "That nose is way too small. Can I steal some flesh and, and stitch it to that face?"
God. What an amazing movie Anguish is, but I will say it was a step up from
Oh,
Oh
it was
yeah.
quite a few steps up from the last ones.
the bar was really low, so
I mean, I've never watched a movie that was almost physically as painful as American Poltergeist 2. It was so
Oh,
bad that I felt like my boredom was manifesting itself in physical discomfort. This movie was like a nice warm bath in comparison. You could hardly call it a horror movie because it was so
yeah.
predictable and the tone was just so quiet and pensive and kind of punctuated by a bunch of jump scares that are
yeah.
cheap, you know.
Yeah, predictable.
It's
Yeah, I felt I don't know. I'm not going to tell them how they could do a better movie. I don't know, but let's move on from this anguish-filled tormented movie.
yes.
What do we have up on next on the list?
Next is a Spanish movie called Animas. Apparently, it's a teen horror drama about a girl who gets frequent visions. So it sounds like this
Hmm.
movie, only in Espanol.
Hmm.
Oh, good. But it's going to be great trying to take notes again with subtitles.
You're not fluent in
Well,
Espanol?
I may do a better job with Espanol as opposed to Hindu. So
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
How's
I
your
can pick out
Sanskrit?
maybe every fourth word.
yeah, I can pick out every third or fourth word with Spanish, but with Hindu, I'd have to take several courses. Um,
We're screwed the minute we get to a Chinese movie. Have you ever tried to watch just any Chinese movie? It's like, all right, that's a paragraph. The subtitles are covering half the
this is
screen.
true. This is true. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that will end this episode of Cinematic Suffering.
We got through
We
it,
did get through
yes.
it, and so next up, what is the movie called again? It's Onias.
Animas. A-N, like animal, but with an S.
A. Of course, we're
Yeah.
still in the A's. I was thinking it was
Animas.
an O, but we're not no.
No.
Yeah. Sounds like a Tool record.
Yeah.
Animas.
Animas.
And so let's go ahead and end it here. Thank you for joining us, everyone. This
Let's do it.
Cinematic Suffering.
Yeah, thanks,
Do we
everybody.
do we have to plug anything?
Oh, go to the hboys.com, hboyz.com. Spell it carefully, or you'll find gay porn.
You just had you have your latest issue, right? Episode 5.
Yes. Issue number 5
Yeah.
is at the printers, and I'm just waiting to get
The
it back
cover art
now.
looks
It's been a
the
long
cover art
road.
looks killer, dude. That was a really good color. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
it was
Thank you.
just I was blown away at how good the cover looked.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate that. My good friend Paul Burden, who's one of my friends that I've known since art college, collaborated with me to colorize that. So you check his work out at 35,000.com.
35,000. Awesome. Morgan, anything?
No, just support your local artists, comics, writers, musicians, painters, drawers, whatever. These people are out there, and I think that they bring in joy to our lives, and not enough people patron their services.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, I agree.
And I'll go and promote my my Twitch channel, JT Corpse. Come on over for some hectic, hot action, hot six.
It's a hell of a lot of
What
fun.
game
I
what
highly
game are you
recommend
Twitch
it.
streaming now?
I am Twitch streaming Vermintide 2, which just got an update today, so I'm looking forward to
All right.
jumping
What's the
back into
premise
that.
behind that one?
It's pretty much a hack and slash. Have you ever played Left 4 Dead?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is kind of like an amped up, better version of Left 4 Dead. You're assaulted by hordes of what's called Skaven, which are just basically rats
Okay.
on walking legs, and Chaos Spawn, Chaos, which is another kind of faction in the Warhammer universe, and it's the fantasy universe, which is awesome. And you're just assaulted. You have You got hero classes. You can, all the bunch of nerdy shit. Anyways, that's what I do on stream. It sounds really nerdy right now. I
No, it's a blast to watch. I mean, because it's like it's not nerdy to watch it being played. It's just hordes of the screaming evil demonic creatures, and you're just hacking through them with nice meaty crunchy sounds.
Sounds
It's
like a
real
good stress
cathartic. I
reliever,
highly
yeah.
recommend
it's
it.
very cathartic.
Yeah.
I think that's why I have about 670 hours in it now.
Yeah, I highly recommend you go over to JT Corpse's Twitch channel and check that
Yes,
shit
awesome,
out.
awesome. Okay, well, I guess we'll call it for this week, and we'll try to get. We should try to get back on our regular schedule, but if we can't,
Yeah.
that's quite all right. But thanks, guys. I truly appreciate you joining me
All
here
right.
on this Monday afternoon.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Cinematic Suffering. Clay is an extremely talented and twisted comic artist, and you should visit his pride and joy hboys.com. That's HBOYZ.com. If you're a fan of death and black metal, check out Jason's band Greyfill on all social media platforms, as well as his doom metal project Stygian Crown. Music provided by Face X Hugger. Check out Face X Hugger on Bandcamp and Twitter for more synthwave horror-themed music. Questions, comments, and hate mail should be directed to our Twitter account at Cinematic Supper.